The following is a paid program sponsored by the friends and partners of Faith Life Now.
Welcome to Drenda. I'm so glad you joined us today. We have an amazing program for you and a great guest with Kylie Bisutti, former Victoria's Secret model. Let me just tell you what's going on here. Now, we all know the purpose of Hollywood is to take an idea, tell a story in a way that seems so magical and unparalleled to anything you've ever heard or seen before. The lights, the cameras, the red carpets filled with the most beautiful people in the world. It all looks so glamorous, right? Hollywood makes us want things that are not even possible for us to have. Women go to unhealthy lengths to look like a model. I just want to know who sets all those standards. Although the glitz and the glamour make the world of modeling seem so beautiful, the industry can be very ugly. It's full of unhealthy habits. They create unhealthy self-image and unhealthy standards that you or I possibly cannot live up to. We're so excited, though, today to have with us this former Victoria's Secret model, Kylie Bisutti. You may have seen her on the runway, you may have seen her in a talk show, but she's got an amazing story you do not want to miss about what real beauty is and how she struggled with her own personal self-image, her personal values, and when the two came into conflict, when she was faced with compromise, how she made the right choices. If you want to welcome with me today Kylie Bisutti, but before that, we're going to go and hear what her version of a Proverbs 31 woman really is and what it's like to truly be an angel.
Proverbs 31:10. An excellent wife who can find? She is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like the ships of the merchant. She brings her food from afar. She rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and portions for her maidens. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands she plants a vineyard. She dresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. She puts her hands to the distaff and her hands hold the spindle. She opens her hand to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household are clothed in scarlet. She makes bed coverings for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them. She delivers sashes to the merchant. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the ways of her household, and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates.
Wow. Amy's joining me. You know, Amy, wow, being a supermodel has a tall order to it, but Proverbs 31 could sound like a tall order as well.
Well, Proverbs 31 doesn't really mention outer beauty, though. If you think about it, it really talks about a woman's heart, her attitude, what she does with her family, with her kids, in her community. So I do think that obviously the emphasis is placed on her heart and what she's capable of from the inside out. And honestly, we can't live Proverbs 31 without God's help, because it is a tall order.
That's the truth. We can't live without him, period. You
right,
know?
exactly.
So I am so excited, Amy, because we got to visit with Kylie a few years back. Now to get to talk with her and see what God has done.
I know, since then, so many things have happened?
it's exciting. So I don't want to take any longer. Would you please welcome to the set Kylie Bisutti, former Victoria's Secret model. Let's give it up for her. Awesome to have you back. Now, the last time we talked, you had just left the modeling industry, and so many exciting things have happened since then. But I want to just reflect a little bit about your story. You just shared Proverbs 31 and what that means to you. That's very integral in your story, isn't it? Tell us what happened that you actually left the modeling industry over.
Well, Proverbs 31 does have a lot to do with it because the whole Victoria's Secret thing happened very, very shortly after I got married to my husband. And God definitely used my marriage and teaching me about being the right type of wife, the type of wife He called me to be, and showed me that I wasn't living that type of life with what I was doing in my modeling industry. And so, you know, Proverbs 31 really is heavy on my heart because God used that entire passage in the Bible to show me that I needed to make some changes in my life.
Now somebody tweeted you or on your social media posted something about, I'd rather have my wife be a Proverbs 31 woman
than a Victoria's Secret model?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
That was kind of crazy for me to see because it was a young guy who isn't married, but he did it because he saw all of his friends that were girls, getting so insecure around the time that the runway show was coming on. And so he wanted to post something on there to kind of uplift their spirits. And so he said, I would rather have a Proverbs 31 woman than a Victoria's Secret model. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my goodness, that's exactly, you know, what I wanted to leave the lingerie modeling for, is to pursue being a Proverbs 31 model. And so I reached out to him because he has a Christian website and blog, and he had me write a blog post for it.
Awesome. Now I want to go back to when you were just a young girl. What did you always dream of being a model? Was that something that you wanted? So your goal probably as a young girl was at Proverbs 31. What was your goal when you were young?
No. When I was young, I definitely grew up seeing all of the supermodels in the magazines and on the runway. And I think like a lot of girls, you know, they grow up seeing those images and seeing the kind of attention that these models get and how the world calls them worthy and beautiful and praises them.
Right.
That's what I grew up wanting to have. I wanted to be praised like them. I wanted to feel beautiful and worthy and accepted and have that attention. And so from a very young age, I wanted to pursue being a model for all of those reasons.
So when did modeling start in your life? How old were you when you started doing things that were leading toward that direction?
I signed with my modeling agency when I was 14.
It's 14.
Yeah, and so everything just kind of went from there.
Now, does it have an ugly side? We all see the glamour, we see the beauty, and we women, we emulate. We try to follow, copy, do what the models do because we feel like that's a true vision of beauty. But what did you learn in the backside of modeling? What did you see?
Well, you know, the whole industry has a really, really dark side to it. And from the time that I got started, it was already, you know, working on corrupting me. And I started when I was 14, and at 15 I was already doing really provocative photo shoots. By 17 I had posed topless. And in the modeling world, it's called artsy and okay.
Right.
It's really porn, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. And, you know, they take girls as young as 14 and pressure them to do stuff like that. And it's considered okay because it's for art.
Right. Art's
But it's
sake.
not legal,
Yeah.
but it's art. So
Yeah.
art makes it okay then?
Yeah.
What is the line between pornography
Yeah,
and pornographers and modeling industry and photographers? What is the line there? It just seems like
There's not one.
there's not one. Wow.
Well, and beyond that, you talk about in your book, I'm No Angel, just the story of when you kind of moved to New York and started modeling there, and you're still very young, how they basically told you that you were fat, you had to lose weight or nobody would hire you. Talk about that season in your life, because it's, from your book, it seems like it's kind of a dark time that you were struggling with your body image, because obviously, you're super thin, but they're saying, oh, you're so fat and big, and crazy things like that.
Well, I grew up very, very thin, and I actually got bullied in school because I was so super thin. I just couldn't put on weight. My dad's 6'4", and we're both just, naturally have that body type. And so when I got into modeling, I thought that my body type would be perfect for it. And it wasn't. It's never good enough in the modeling industry.
They actually made you lose more weight, right?
Yeah. When I was 118 pounds, they called me a fat pig and told me that if I didn't lose weight, they wouldn't send me on castings and I would have to go back home. And so I ended up doing unhealthy things to get down to 108 pounds. Wow. Which is really sickly thin, especially for my height of 5'10".
What would you eat? What would you eat in a day? I'm just curious.
Well, when I dropped all of the weight, I was just eating fruit, mainly pineapple. I did like a pineapple cleanse for 7 days straight and dropped about 10 pounds. And
Don't do that, all right?
Yeah, it was really bad the whole time.
Because that pineapple's acidic. That's just eating at your stomach even.
Yeah.
So is that just to completely just take anything out of your body?
Yeah, it'll even ruin your muscle mass and all sorts of stuff.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
So it's
Just eats away
dangerous.
your muscles.
Dangerous, yeah.
It's not a good thing.
And your roommate, Brittany, you talk about her story a little bit, about how just down on herself she was and how she thought she was fat, being super skinny model as well. And share about kind of what happened with that.
It's so sad because now looking back, seeing how I was looking at her and seeing how she's this beautiful girl, yet she would look at images of herself and just cry and go and throw up her food because she would look at herself and say that she was fat and see the pictures and just be so depressed, even though she had struggled with bulimia for multiple years and was in and out of the hospital.
So what looks so beautiful on the outside is not so beautiful on the inside.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we asked a couple people to share with us what they think beauty is. So we thought we should take a look and just see what they said.
And before we go there, I just want to say we've got some news, don't we? Kylie is actually pregnant. So this is exciting, very exciting. She, how far along are you now?
7.5 months. So
7.5 months.
30 weeks.
And Kylie, you're beautiful on the inside and the out. We went out and asked some folks what beautiful means to them. Stay around right after the break. We'll come back with that.
Former Victoria's Secret beauty Kylie Bisutti stunned the fashion industry when she chose God over being a Victoria's Secret angel. In her book, I'm No Angel, Kylie talks about the ugly side of the beautiful industry, from the disillusionment and spiritual warfare she faced to surrendering to God and saying goodbye to the runway. Kylie shows you how being beautiful on the outside comes from knowing, loving, and serving Christ on the inside. The mirror is lying to you, and she wants to help you see that you are beautifully and wonderfully made. You can go to Drenda.com or call 877-894-3848 to get this insightful resource. Kylie isn't the only one who believes you don't have to be a supermodel to be fabulous. In her 3-CD series, Fabulous You, Drenda Keesee talks life and love. With the many demands on women in our society, a balanced, joyful life can be difficult. Take a journey with Drenda so you can learn ways to accessorize your life and be the new fabulous you. In this new You Makeover collection, both Kylie and Drenda provide insight and encouragement toward becoming or strengthening the woman God calls you to be. Both authors have shared their message with thousands of women who have traveled far to get their internal makeover started, which has changed their approach and behaviors in life. For $45, the new You Makeover collection provides the tools for you to do the same. Go to Drenda.com or call 877-894-3848 to start your journey to the new you. You can also mail us at Drenda, P.O. Box 647, New Albany, Ohio 43054.
Welcome back. We're with Kylie Bisutti here, but we're going to go and hear some answers of what people on the street said, what beauty means to them. I'm interested to hear what some of the men say. How about you, Amy?
Yes.
So let's see what real beauty means to different people just out on the street. Here, take a look.
How would you define the word beautiful? What does it mean to you?
To me, beautiful means being yourself, not being afraid to be different from everyone else, and just showing your personality to the world.
My definition of beautiful would be being able to laugh at yourself and enjoy who you are and not worry.
And you'd rather your girlfriend or a girl feel beautiful or look beautiful to you?
Both, I guess.
Do you feel pressure from Hollywood or the media to look a certain way?
Yes, I do. I mean, they say look skinny, be thin, and I'm comfortable with the way I am, so I'd rather be me.
I think that when you look beautiful, sometimes you feel beautiful, but I think ultimately when you feel beautiful inside, then that radiates to your outside appearance. So if you feel beautiful and you feel confident, then that's going to show to the whole world. So I think they go hand in hand.
For me, you can take anybody, and if they exude energy and have that presence about them, they're beautiful, and who they are, and you know who they are as a person. That's what beautiful means to me.
Wow, our culture has some interesting ideas about beauty. Some, you know, you could say, well, that's cool. Some of them are a little twisted, though. And we do see, you know, a lot of that pressure put on us by the media or by organizations that are trying to sell their products or their clothing or their lingerie.
Yes. It all comes back down to money, doesn't it, Kylie?
Yeah.
You know, there's money to be made in making us feel insecure about our looks and in selling us what we need to look right. To fix it, right. And that's always changing. The carrots are always being dangled somewhere further along. So we've got a new resolution, a new you resolution that we're going to talk about with Kylie. We want to set up something that you and I agree to. Let's woman to woman, let's come up with some ways that we can truly be that inner supermodel, that we're not just trying to do something on the outside that's going to leave us anorexic, bulimic, or defeated. We're thinking all these bad thoughts. And you know, women are beautiful. All women are beautiful. There's something beautiful God, the Creator, put in every woman. So the first thing we want to say in the New You resolution is you need to have integrity for yourself. Be a woman of your word. What do you think about that?
I think that is so important for every woman, really. I mean, there's just so much pressure out there, and we need to stand up for ourselves, you know, when it comes to that pressure, and saying we're not going to give into it. We're going to stand up for ourselves and for our true beauty, and not let the world tell us that we need to change everything about us, or change this and you can be considered beautiful, or you can fit the mold. I really think we need to just, you know, stand up for ourselves. And
the Bible says be true to yourself.
Right.
You know, if you're not true to yourself, how can you have any beauty? Because really you're just shape-shifting, constantly changing.
You walked away from a very lucrative modeling career and said, I don't think this is being, you know, integrous to myself. But then some women need to walk away from some relationships that they're having pressure being put on them by their boyfriend to, you know, get this or that job done, or to look a certain way, or, you know, even in prenups now, they have ridiculous things like, if you gain more than 10 or 20 pounds, then I'm going to divorce you.
That's not love.
Stupid stuff.
That's not love. That's not commitment even. Folks, we got to get a clue, right?
You and I are pregnant. We know that just happens.
Yes, yes. You know, and a woman's body changes, but beauty is that a woman is in every season, childbearing, as she ages, like myself, that you have a beauty about you, and there's a commitment in the relationship.
Exactly.
It's not about this superficial stuff. Anyway.
Keep your word to yourself.
Yes.
If you're going to serve God, right?
Yes.
And don't let anybody else pressure you to not do that.
That is integrity. Keep your word to God, keep your word to yourself, and keep your word to others. That's integrity.
Yes.
Second one, all right? We're going to have physical, emotional, and spiritual health. They're all three important. You are not just a physical being on the outside, but God wants you to be beautiful on the inside and to have emotional health and, most importantly, spiritual health. What do you have to say about that?
well, God really looks at the beauty of our heart, you know. People of the world look at our outside, and God really looks at the inside, and that's why it's so important to
work on your spiritual self and stay in the Word. You know, if you want to grow spiritually, it really starts with being in the Word every day and making that such a priority in your life. And obviously spiritual maturity and spiritual health is so important because it just fuels us for everything that, you know, we're going to take on in life, and being able to draw people to Christ and be the right kind of godly example and pursue being, you know, Proverbs 31 woman. So it's so important, I believe, to focus on that spiritual health, and everything else just flows from it.
That's right. I love in your book you have a 30-day true beauty makeover that talks about spiritual and emotional health, and you step us through. It's like a 30-day devotional at the end of your book. That's so cool. After we read your story and all the things that you went through, to just have that 30 days of devoting ourselves to God and just really working on our spiritual health.
And I like the way you wrote it too. It's very compelling. You feel like you're in the modeling world. You're living it with you as you walk this whole process out, and how it affected. Now, you know, I would think, at least this is, when I'm not doing something I know is completely true to me and true to what God's Word says, I don't really feel so close to God. It's kind of like Adam and Eve. They went and hid, you know, put the fig leaves on and let's hide, and, you know. Did you, when you were walking this thing out with modeling, was there a difference in your relationship with God before and after? Did it feel differently?
Yes, big time.
What was the difference?
I wasn't close to God at all, you know, when I was pursuing those things that I was doing. I maybe said I was, but I really wasn't. You know, in my heart, I knew that I wasn't, and that's why it was so much easier for me to justify doing certain things that I was doing, justify the decisions I made, because I wasn't.
It's like you're aware of God, but you're not really connected relationally.
Yeah.
Because I know we've all messed up, right? We've all made mistakes. Exactly. And when you're making mistakes, you're kind of like, yeah, God, I know you're there, but we'll talk later. Yeah. Let me do my thing right now. Yeah. This is my thing to do. Okay. Number three, be an example of true beauty that comes from within. How are we that example of true beauty? What does that look like?
It really all does come from within. And Proverbs 31 is a great example of, you know, seeing different traits about the Proverbs 31 woman that all stems from her heart and her actions, the way she treats people. So I really like to try and focus on being kind, being humble, being loving, respectful.
I don't think you have to try too hard.
But you know, those are the types of things that she's praised for. And when I was younger, I always looked for outward praise, and that just led me to even more insecurities and unhappiness and unfulfillment. And now that I'm looking, you know, to work on the things of my heart, it's leading to so much more fulfillment. And it's the first time in my life where I'm actually confident with who I am, and it's because of what I'm focused on, which is the qualities of my heart, which is what the Lord focuses on.
That's great. And you're such a gentle, I would use the word gentle to say you're just a gentle example of that. I know you said to me that you wanted to teach your children, when you have children, compliment their inner beauty as much or more than you do their outer beauty. And I think that's a great word, because we do oftentimes say, oh, you're beautiful, or your eyes are beautiful, or this is beautiful, or I like your shirt, I like your dress. And I know I do that as well. But to be able to compliment your children on, that was wonderful, you were so generous. You were very kind in that situation. Thank you for sharing. Those are great beauty concepts, I think, inner beauty concepts that make us supermodels inside and out. And your child is blessed. We'll be right back.
There's nothing like a good friend when you need encouraged, and the comfort that comes by those special words, I'm here for you. Drenda wants to brighten your day, give you hope, and offer you joy for your journey in life. Whether you need prayer or just want to share your celebration with someone, we're just a click away at Drenda.com. We're here for you at Drenda, just like a best friend.
I just want to share with you, my heart is that you would have more of what matters in your life. There are so many choices as women that we can make. There's many things around us that we can choose. I want you to choose the things that are going to be healthy for you, that are going to bring lasting relationships in your life, that are going to give you true success, not just in the eyes of this world, because we know that can be very, very fickle. Hollywood can be fickle. There's so many things pulling at us for our time and attention, and so many labels being placed on us, things that make us feel defeated every day, make us feel like we don't live up to the image. And you might even look at Proverbs 31 and think, Drenda, there is no way, even God has a high standard for a woman that I can't live up to. I just want to say to you that the Proverbs 31 woman, she is a woman who encompasses all those things. She doesn't do all those things at one time. There's times in her life that she's providing for her family and getting things for them. There's times that she's in prayer seeking God. There's times that she's an example. But the way that Proverbs 31 ends is that charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord, she should be praised. She shall be praised. Give her the praise that she deserves. When you hear that word deserve, you think about, okay, this is a reward. God is saying a woman who puts these priorities that are in Proverbs 31 of family, of being industrious, of being creative, of seeking God, who puts others first, who reaches out to the needy, who's doing these things that are not just about her. So when we start thinking about our outward beauty and that is our focus, we become very selfish and self-focused. And like Kylie said earlier, we're looking for attention. We're trying to perform something to get someone to say, you're valuable, you're special, you're beautiful. It's okay that your nose looks like this. It's okay that your body looks like that. We're trying so hard. And we are trying to the point now of self-destruction. And women are we're imploding. We're imploding because we're not working on what's on the inside. We're working on the shallow outside. And you see so many things in the media that make you feel like if you just had a nose that looks like that, you just had a body like that, if you just owned these clothes, you did this thing, you had this voice quality or whatever it is, success, career success, fame and fortune, all these things are being pumped at us, just images, thousands of them per day. And it looks like we're failing as women. And I just want to say to you, you are not a failure today. You are not a failure. God does not see you as a failure. He does not see you as someone who's short, who's second best, who's not, quality, who's not the model. You are the role model. In God's eyes, He sees you as a model. When you are taking care of those little children, you're taking care of them, you're feeding them, you're nurturing them, you're laying your life down for them. When you lay your life down for your husband, when you give to the poor, when you do things like you help me with H3, where we're helping women that are underprivileged and they're dealing with situations that are tough, family backgrounds that are challenging and they're hurting. They've come out of sex trafficking or prostitution. There's so many challenges that women get into. And all of this external focus does lead to moral failure. It does lead to moral failure. And that is not what God has for you. I want you to go to Drenda.com and I want you to check out the resources we have there to help you find your inner supermodel. That's what it's all about. God has good things for you. Thanks for joining us, Kylie. Thanks for being with us today.
This has been a paid program sponsored by the friends and partners of Faith Life Now.